characters, incidents, names, and situations used in this story are fictitious. The resemblance to any person living or dead is purely coincidental. The following video contains some horror elements and suitable for a mature audience, 16 plus. This channel and video is not for kids.
Hello friends, I am Aryan and welcome to our channel Midnight Horror Stories, where you get to hear true and scary ghost stories. In our channel, you will get to hear true and scary stories every Tuesday and Saturday. But before starting the story, all the friends who have come to this channel for the first time, please subscribe to the channel, and if you like the story, then definitely introduce yourself in the comment section. Then, let's do not take much time and start our story quickly. Friends, today's story is of a man from Delhi whose name is Rajveer. So let's now hear the story from Rajveer's point of view. Hello friends, my name is Rajveer and I am a resident of Delhi. Today I want to tell you about such a scary incident of my life that will give you goosebumps too. Actually, this incident that I am going to tell you is about 3 years ago today. At that time, I had come to my farmhouse with my wife Meena to spend a few days on vacation. But I don't know why, but as soon as the car stopped in front of the farmhouse, something strange felt. Then when we came to the farmhouse looked very dusty. It had been closed for a long time. I was just looking towards the farmhouse when suddenly I felt that someone was standing on the balcony of a room upstairs in the farmhouse. Surprised to see this at first, when I looked closely, I didn't see anything. I thought maybe that's the illusion of the mind. So I didn't pay much attention to it. I immediately called some men and asked them to clean the farmhouse. Meena and I were sitting outside drinking tea together when suddenly I felt as if someone was leaning on top of me, because I could hear the sound of his rapid breathing. When I looked at Meena, who was busy drinking tea and looking at the mobile, while that voice was heard right next to my ear, it was like someone leaning on my shoulder. So flustered, I looked back, but I didn't see any. I was surprised to see how this could happen, because I felt that voice clearly. Then I thought, maybe there is a quiet atmosphere, and in such a quiet area, then maybe the distant sound will also be feeling nearby. Thinking of this, I ignored it. At the same time, the farmhouse was thoroughly cleaned. It was evening for us too. We were going to stay in the farmhouse for a few days. When we both came in, Meena had gone to the bathroom to take a bath, and I was ordering food when I felt as if someone was standing on the balcony of our farmhouse, because I could see the shadow of someone from the glass on the balcony side. I was surprised to see who could it be, because the people who had come to clean up had left. There was no one there except you and Meena. In such a situation, I was a little surprised to see that shadow. Then as soon as I started going that way, I felt as if the person standing in the balcony was breathing in a loud voice, and the same sound that I had heard during the day, this time too it was heard. Seeing this, I quickly removed the balcony glass and saw that there was no one there. I was a little surprised to see how this could happen. Then suddenly, someone from behind put a hand on my shoulder, and I looked back and saw that it was Meena. Seeing him in front of my eyes gave me some comfort, but I couldn't say anything because of the nervousness. So what happened when she saw me upset like this? Now I said nothing. So Meena said, "Go and take a bath too." So I said yes, and I went straight from there to the bathroom to take a shower. But the same thing was coming to my mind, that I saw a shadow in the balcony, and it was not an illusion in my mind. So where did he go all of a sudden? I couldn't understand anything. Thinking of this, I took a shower. But when I was taking a bath, suddenly the glass in the bathroom started to blur and blur as if I could see something written. I was a little surprised to see this. Then I started thinking that the farmhouse has been closed for so long. Perhaps the cleaners today may not have cleaned this glass properly. But what is written on it? Thinking of this, I tried to read, but I didn't understand what was written. Then suddenly the shower in the bathroom above me turned on. I was also surprised to see that the shower was turned off, so how did it suddenly turn on? Now I turned it off, but after a while it turned on again. I was surprised to see this. Turn off the shower again and again, and after a while it would turn on my own. Seeing this, I started to get a little nervous now. I quickly took a shower and came out. Then seeing me upset, Meena said, "What happened?" So I told him about it. Now she said, "Hey, the farmhouse has been closed for a long time, so maybe there was a malfunction. I'll call someone tomorrow and get it fixed." We were both just talking. By then the food had arrived, so we both ate together. They were also very tired. In such a situation, lie down to sleep. We were trying to sleep while talking to each other. After a long time, we got a chance to spend time with each other. By the way, Meena and I had been married for 3 years. I was from a poor family and Meena was from a very rich family. That's how we met on social media. Then there was friendship. Gradually, this friendship turned into love. Meena was of ordinary features. I was no less than a hero in appearance, but seeing Meena's behavior, I liked her. Meena's family also accepted me after a little refusal. Then I started living as a housekeeper at Meena's house. Meena had a younger sister Antara who was studying in another city. I took over her father's business with Meena because Meena's father was mostly ill and mum didn't know much about all this. In such a situation, we didn't get any time to spend time with each other. In such a situation, after a long time of planning, we came here. When Meena was very reluctant to come here, but her father sent us here because the farmhouse was closed for a long time. But I don't know that since I came here, something strange is happening to me. That night, Meena and I both slept. It was midnight when suddenly in my sleep, I felt like someone was crying. At first, I didn't pay much attention to it because I was sleepy. But when the sound started coming again and again, I woke up. Now I started to feel like someone was sitting on the balcony of our room and crying. I was surprised to hear who could be there at such a late hour. That's what I was thinking. There was no sound at all for a while. So I thought it was probably calm weather. A distant sound could be heard nearby when the sound of someone's crying was gradually getting louder. So now when I looked around, that sound seemed to be echoing all around the room. Seeing this, I started to get very nervous when suddenly the lights in our room started turning on automatically. Seeing this, it didn't make any sense, but there was a lot of panic. I couldn't understand when all of a sudden the sound stopped on their own. Oh my God, what is happening to me? I was thinking, then the loud sound of crying again came in my ears. Then I was quite surprised that what kind of sound is this? Who could it be? There is no thief anywhere. The farmhouse has been closed for a long time, because of which I have come. A lot of such things were coming to my mind, but there was a lot of panic at the same time. That's when I tried very hard to wake Meena, but she was sleeping so deeply that she was not waking up even when I woke her up, and I could hear the sound of that cry. Now with courage, I got down from my bed and came straight to the balcony, which was covered with glass. When I removed the curtain in front of it, I saw a shadow sitting on the balcony, whose head seemed to be resting on his knees, and he was crying loudly. I was surprised to see who could it be. The door of the room is locked from the inside.
So where did he come from in the balcony? Thinking of this, I started to panic at first. I didn't know what to do. No matter how hard I tried to wake Meena up, she will not wake up from sleep. After all, what a deep sleep he felt, whereas Meena did not sleep so deeply. That's what I was thinking about. I was also nervous. Then, mustering up courage, I removed the balcony glass and looking at the shadow, hurriedly said, "Who are you? What are you doing here? Who are you?" Now as soon as I said this, suddenly the shadow stopped crying. Seeing this, I again dared to hurry up and said, "Who are you?" So suddenly, the shadow that was sitting stared at me, and my scream was buried in my throat, because the shadow's terrifying red glowing eyes and such a terrifying and frightening face seemed to be hanging from the flesh from place to place. Suddenly, the blood started flowing downward from the mouth of that shadow. Seeing such a horrible shadow in front of my eyes, I began to tremble. At that time, my brain seemed to have stopped working. I didn't know what to do now. Then I was about to try to run away from there with courage when that shadow looked at me and started growling in a strange way in anger and was about to extend his hand towards me when my scream came out and I stumbled to run back and fell down on the floor and my eyes closed in panic. But I kept screaming. Then someone put a hand on my shoulder. It was as if my heart had come to my mouth. At that time, just as I was about to faint, I heard Meena's voice in my ears. What happened? Nervous to hear her voice, I opened my eyes, and seeing Meena in front of my eyes, I looked up at the balcony again. But now I couldn't see any shadow. Seeing this, I looked around. Meena was looking at me in surprise as she wondered what had happened. Hearing this, I hurriedly reached for the balcony, but I couldn't say anything because of fear. Seeing this, she also did not understand what had happened. Then she took me by the hand and led me to the bed. She made me sit down and gave me water to drink. but I couldn't even drink water because of the nervousness, and Mina was repeatedly asking what happened. Saying this, he told that he had woken up after hearing the sound of my screaming. I was surprised to hear that I had woken him up so much a while ago, yet he did not wake up, and now how did he wake up? At the same time, when she was questioning me again and again, I told the whole thing with courage. Hearing my words, she said, "You don't act like a child. You must have had a scary dream. Let's go to sleep." Hearing this, I panicked and said, "I didn't have any dreams. There was someone here, and looking at him, it seemed that he was not human. There must be a ghost. I'm telling the truth." So she said, "It's nothing like that. And what kind of nonsense are you talking about? There is no such thing as a ghost." Hearing this, I would say something now, before she said, "Look, we have come here to spend a good few days. In such a situation, do not talk nonsense. Let's go to sleep." Hearing this, I couldn't say anything and lay back down to sleep. But again and again, the same scary face was seen moving around in front of my eyes. Remembering how scared I was at that time, I can't even tell you guys, but I couldn't say anything about Mina. Now Mina also came and lay down on the bed next to me, and in a short time she fell asleep. I looked at him but didn't have the courage to look at the balcony again. I grabbed Mina's hand and tried to sleep. At that time I was very scared, but gradually I also fell asleep. In the morning I woke up to hearing Mina's voice. I saw that it was 9 o'clock in the morning. I've never slept for so long. Now after waking up from sleep, I started to feel nervous as soon as I remembered the night. So seeing me upset like this, Mina said, "Oh man, it's nothing. Why are you thinking about unnecessary things? You must have had a scary dream." Hearing this, I would say something before she said, "I used to have similar scary dreams as a child, and I used to understand them as reality, and that's what you have done." Now I couldn't say anything, so she quickly said, "Now get ready quickly." Hearing this, I said, "Yes," and got up and went to the bathroom to take a shower. After a while, I came out taking a shower. The thoughts of the night were still swirling in my mind, but then I started thinking that maybe I must have had a scary dream. Thinking of this, he tried to ignore this. Then, in a short time, we both got ready and sat down in the garden, and then started remembering our childhood days while watching a movie on mobile and started talking about each other. Then I felt thirsty, so I came in to get a jug of water. I was still in the kitchen when I suddenly heard the sound of footsteps. So I thought maybe Mina was coming. So I looked back, but I didn't see anything. So I came out of the kitchen with a jug of water saying this to Mina. Then I saw that I could feel the sound of footsteps going up the stairs. I started running to that side. Then Mina's voice was heard from outside. I was surprised to hear this, and when I came out, I saw Mina sitting in front of me as before. Seeing this, I could not understand anything. Seeing me upset, Mina said, "What happened?" So I hurriedly said, "Has anyone gone in?" Hearing this, she said, "No, why? What's the point?" So I told him the whole thing. Hearing this, she said, "What are you talking about? There is nothing like that. There is no such thing as ghosts." Saying this, she started drinking water. By the way, I was also surprised that I had heard the voice myself, and if no one is inside, then what is that voice? I couldn't understand. Seeing this, Mina said, "What happened?" So I hurriedly said, "Nothing." Then I thought, maybe I'm here. Since then, I've just been feeling the opposite. In such a situation, the mind must have been confused. So I didn't pay much attention, and we both started watching movies. Slowly, I didn't know when time passed with each other. After dinner, we both went to sleep after watching a movie. It was midnight when suddenly it felt like someone had said something in my ears. Hearing this, I woke up in a hurry. I saw that even today I saw a shadow standing on the balcony, but now I didn't have the courage to go there. Then I consoled myself and said, "There is nothing like that." Then I dared to think that someone might be trying to scare me. Thinking of this, I went back to the balcony and saw that the shadow in the balcony suddenly jumped downward. Seeing this, I was blown away. My eyes were wide open. I couldn't say anything, and I quickly started going downstairs. At that time, I couldn't understand anything. The bus was just running away. Then the sound of someone crying was heard from one of the rooms. It's like crying in a horrible voice and saying something in a strange language. At that time, I felt like my mind was not even under my control. I stared at the room for a while. Then, when I went to that side, I saw that someone was kneeling with his back to me crying. Seeing this, I would say something. Before he could do that, he suddenly stared at me. So this was the same shadow that appeared to me yesterday. Now, seeing that shadow in front of my eyes, I was so scared I can't tell you guys. Then the shadow looked at me and smiled strangely. So, staggering in the process of escaping, I fell down and started trembling. Seeing this, as soon as the shadow stood up and started coming towards me, my heartbeat increased. Now I could see my death in front of my eyes. Now I started screaming loudly and got up again and started running away from there. The door to the room closed itself. Seeing this, at that time I felt like I would faint because that shadow was standing in front of my eyes, smiling at me in a strange way. He looked so scary that even today I start to get very nervous thinking about him. Then, after some time, I heard Mina's voice from outside the room, but the panic was so much, I was so scared that I couldn't even open the door. Then Mina opened the door and she came in. Now, seeing me lying like this on the floor, she took me and said to Hirini, "What happened?" But I couldn't say anything because of nervousness. She was constantly talking. I was asking, "What am I doing here? What has happened to me?" But I didn't respond. But when I looked around the room, I could no longer see any shadow. Seeing my condition, Mina said, "What happened?" So I hurriedly said, "Nothing." Then I thought, maybe I'm here. Since then, I've just been feeling the opposite. In such a situation, the mind must have been confused. So I didn't pay much attention, and we both started watching movies. Slowly, I didn't know when time passed with each other. After dinner, we both went to sleep after watching a movie. It was midnight when suddenly it felt like someone had said something in my ears. Hearing this, I woke up in a hurry. I saw that even today I saw a shadow standing on the balcony, but now I didn't have the courage to go there. Then I consoled myself and said, "There is nothing like that." Then I dared to think that someone might be trying to scare me. Thinking of this, I went back to the balcony and saw that the shadow in the balcony suddenly jumped downward. Seeing this, I was blown away. My eyes were wide open. I couldn't say anything, and I quickly started going downstairs. At that time, I couldn't understand anything. The bus was just running away. Then the sound of someone crying was heard from one of the rooms. It's like crying in a horrible voice and saying something in a strange language. At that time, I felt like my mind was not even under my control. I stared at the room for a while. Then, when I went to that side, I saw that someone was kneeling with his back to me crying. Seeing this, I would say something. Before he could do that, he suddenly stared at me. So this was the same shadow that appeared to me yesterday. Now, seeing that shadow in front of my eyes, I was so scared I can't tell you guys. Then the shadow looked at me and smiled strangely. So, staggering in the process of escaping, I fell down and started trembling. Seeing this, as soon as the shadow stood up and started coming towards me, my heartbeat increased. Now I could see my death in front of my eyes. Now I started.
Mina grabbed my hand and took me back to our room. Then she sat me on the bed and said again, "How did you get there?" But now I didn't have the courage to tell him everything. In such a situation, seeing my condition, Mina laid me on the bed to sleep. But because of all that had happened to me, the horrors I had seen, I had a high fever in no time. Seeing this, Mina called and immediately called the doctor. But even now, the same things were happening again and again in front of my eyes. But then, due to the effect of the medicine, I fell asleep, and perhaps Mina also fell asleep after seeing me sleeping. In such a situation, it was slowly morning. By the way, my fever had gone down, but I was getting very tired. In such a situation, I rested all day. Then when Mina asked me about the night and how I got there in that room, I told Mina everything that happened to me. But he said it was an illusion in my mind. There is nothing like that. You must have had a scary dream and then mistook it for reality. Hearing this, I would have said something else, that it felt like someone had strangled me and I couldn't say anything even if I wanted to. Then slowly the whole day passed. In the evening, Meena went out with her phone while talking to her father. That's when I saw Saya standing at the balcony gate. At that time, it was dark all around. But in the light of the 0-watt bulb burning on the balcony, I could clearly see those frightening eyes of that shadow. And I was looking at that sight trembling. Then suddenly that shadow saw me and started crying loudly. And then he put his hand in front of me. Then I looked at that side with fear. At that time, suddenly something was being written on the wall of the room with blood like itself. Seeing this, I was trying to read, but I was so scared that I couldn't even read properly. But I understood that this shadow wanted to tell me something. Now I could read properly. Before that, Meena came there, and I looked at Meena when I heard the door open. Then when I looked at the wall nervously, I couldn't see anything anymore. Nervous at this, I hurriedly looked towards the balcony. But now I couldn't even see that shadow on the balcony. Seeing that, now I didn't know what to do. After all, whose shadow is this? What do you want to tell me? Thinking of this, I wanted to tell Meena about this. But I also knew that if I told her something, she wouldn't believe me. That's why I kept quiet. I didn't want to stay there for a moment. So he looked at Meena and said, "Why don't we go back? Anyway, I'm not feeling well." Hearing this, Meena looked at me and said, "You are right, but we will leave tomorrow evening because tomorrow there are some people who want to buy this farmhouse. That is why they are coming. Once they come," saying this, she could finish her sentence when suddenly the windows and doors of the room started opening with a loud noise on its own. They began to close. Seeing this, I started to get very nervous. I looked around in fear. Then it felt like the sound of someone shouting in anger echoed in my ears. Now Meena looked at me and said, "Oh, the weather must have been bad outside." Saying this, as soon as she started to go that way to close the window, suddenly a strong gust of wind came into the room through the window, making a loud noise. The gust of wind was so strong that Meena staggered and fell down. Seeing this, I said nervously, "Are you okay?" So Meena said, "Yes, nothing. Perhaps the foot had slipped." Now she was trying very hard to close the window, but the window couldn't close. The same breeze was now swirling all over the room. Then my eyes went to the ball of air and I started trembling as I could see two glowing eyes moving around the room. It seemed like she was looking at us angrily. And seeing this, I shouted and said, "Meena." Now hearing my screaming, Meena came to me and held me and said, "What happened?" But I couldn't say anything in my panic. Then suddenly that gust of wind went back out through the window and now everything was quiet as if nothing had happened. So Meena ran and closed the door of the room well from inside and said that the weather does not know anything when it goes bad. "Let me order home food for you today by asking the gardener, Master, that we have just hired. Let's eat." Saying this, Meena put the food on the table right there. But because of the nervousness, I don't know where my hunger and thirst had gone. But still, I ate a little to keep Meena's mind, and then we lay down on our beds to sleep. We didn't talk much that night because I wasn't feeling well. So I just lay down and closed my eyes and tried to sleep, but Meena had turned over and fell asleep. Then I heard the door on the balcony knocking, because of which I was very scared. Then suddenly we heard a knock on the door of our room. So nervously I looked at him while lying down and then at Meena, who was fast asleep. Then suddenly I felt like someone had shouted loudly from outside our room. Hearing this, I started getting more and more scared, and when I closed my eyes, I could hear the sound of loud window knocking in my ears, and sometimes I could hear the sound of loud knocking on the door. I was trembling because of all this, but I couldn't open my eyes. All this went on for about 10 minutes, and then suddenly everything became quiet as if nothing had happened. Now as soon as I opened my eyes nervously, seeing what I saw in front of my eyes, my heart came to my mouth in an instant, because a strange man who looked quite terrible. He had very big hair, the pupil of the eye was completely white, the whole body was rotten. He was sitting there on the cupboard in front of him, staring at me strangely. Now I looked at Meena in panic, but I didn't have the courage to wake him up from sleep. I was just looking around nervously. Then suddenly, I didn't see the scary man sitting on the cupboard in front of me. He was surprised to see where had he gone. Then suddenly, my eyes fell in front of me, so the same man was sitting on the ground near my bed, staring at me very closely. Seeing this, I felt like I would faint. Then I suddenly started having a sharp pain in my head, and then as soon as the man held my hand, I couldn't let go of my hand even if I wanted to, just followed the man. Now the man was taking me with him, and I was just walking. At that time, I didn't even know where I was going, what I was doing. It just felt like my mind, my body was no longer under my control. Then that scary shadow took me to the storeroom of the farmhouse. At that time, a bulb was burning in that storeroom, and a lot of goods were also kept. Then the scary shadow pointed at me at a packet kept in a cupboard. So I looked at him nervously, but the man didn't say anything and just stared at the packet. Now nervously, I realized that maybe he wanted to tell me something. But thinking of this, I started to go towards that packet in that fear. Then I looked back nervously, and it seemed like this. From the eyes of that shadow, tears of blood were coming out, and he was crying. Now I went there and took the packet in my hand, and as soon as I opened it, there was a photo inside, in which Meena was standing with a boy. Seeing this, I don't know why at the time,
But looking at that guy, I felt like I had seen him somewhere. That's how I was trying to remember. But I couldn't remember where I had seen this boy. That's when I heard a horrible cry in my ears. So suddenly I remembered that this boy was thinking that I looked back in surprise. Then now I saw the same scary shadow that had brought me with him, crying, and in a moment he turned into a black smoke and did not know where he went. Seeing this, the ground slipped under my feet. This meant that I could see a scary shadow. It's none more. This is the guy who's in this photo with Meena. And why can't Meena see? What is this boy's relationship with Meena? Who is it? Who doesn't? Thinking about this, 1,000 things started coming to my mind at that time. That if this is the soul of that boy, then why did Meena never tell me anything about this boy? I know every one of his friends. What does this soul want to tell me? I could hear a lot of such things in my ears. Then there was a loud noise on the wall in front of him. As if someone was hitting a hammer, I looked at that side and saw something written with blood there. Seeing this, I started trying to read. Gradually it became clearer. It was written in blood that very soon all the truth will come before your eyes. Seeing this, I was trembling. I was standing there when I heard Meena's voice in my ears, who had come up to me looking for me. And looking at me in the storeroom, she looked at me in surprise and said, "What are you doing here?" Hearing this, I looked at him but said nothing. Then he looked at the wall, but now nothing was written there. Now Meena came running to me, and seeing the photo in my hand, she was very nervous for a moment and hurriedly took that photo from my hand and threw it aside. Saying this, she grabbed my hand and took me outside. I just kept looking at him and didn't say anything. She brought me into the room and then angrily screamed, "What's wrong with you? Ever since you came here, you have been roaming around this room like thieves, sometimes in that room." Hearing this, I said, "Who was that guy in the photo with you?" So she hurriedly said, and then after thinking about something, she said angrily, "What do you want to say? You spy on me on everything." Saying this, she started fighting with me, escalating the matter unnecessarily. I couldn't say anything either, but I had 1,000 questions in my heart and mind. Don't know why, but I felt like there was some secret hidden in this farmhouse, which Meena doesn't want to tell me, but I didn't understand anything. After fighting with me, Meena turned over and fell asleep, so I also lay down to sleep, but I couldn't sleep. Now I had 1,000 things coming into my mind. I don't know why, but I was pained to think, what is it that Meena has not told me yet? Slowly, somehow, the night had passed. The next morning, Meena didn't even talk to me properly, just said that some people are coming to see this farmhouse. Around 11 a.m., 2 men came again. Now Meena talked to him about something. He talked to both of us. He looked at the farmhouse and said that we had already seen it and had already liked it. I was just waiting for you guys to say. You guys weren't saying yes. Hearing this, Meena said, Yes, my father is very fond of this farmhouse. That's why he didn't want to sell it. But it is also a long way from where we live now, so we don't even come here often. It's just lying idle like that. So I thought I'll sell it. Saying this, she started talking to them and I just stood there silently. Then suddenly I heard a strange sound in my ears, and slowly the sound of crying, very loud and terrifying in my ears, started echoing. So I was just looking around. At that time I felt as if the sound I was hearing was only me, because at that time Meena was engaged in talking to those men. I was just looking around and realized that this voice is from the soul of the boy who might want to tell me something. Then I heard Meena's voice, so I came out of my thoughts. Then Meena looked at me and said, "What happened?" Hearing this, I said flustered, "Nothing." I couldn't hear any sound in my ears anymore. Now Meena made eye gestures to me, so I started talking to those men. Then the men looked at us and smiled and said, "Okay, we love this farmhouse." He was about to say something further when suddenly there was a strong dusty gust of wind and surrounded us all from all sides. Seeing this, I could understand something when I saw the same frightening shadow standing behind the two men. Seeing this, I would have said something flustered. Before that, the spirit of the boy who had come to buy the farmhouse picked up the two men by the neck and threw them aside. Seeing this, the two men were very frightened. They did not understand what had happened to them here. Meena also looked around in surprise, but I could see everything. Then a man said, "People are telling the truth. There is some ghost in this farmhouse here. There are ghosts." Saying this, he started running away from there. Then the other man also ran away from there in fear. Now seeing all this, Meena also got very upset. He also did not understand what was happening. When I tried to talk to her, she started yelling at me in anger. Meena didn't even talk to me properly that day. But in anger, she was just saying that she had talked to some people more. They will be here by evening. Then this farmhouse will be sold forever. Then the chase will be left from here. But you looked at me and said, "You won't tell Papa anything about it." I have not told them the truth about it. All they have said is that some people want to rent this farmhouse. Did you hear? Hearing this, I didn't say anything because I knew this Meena would not listen to me. She always did what she had to do. Slowly that day also began to pass. Then around 4 p.m. a car stopped at the farmhouse. So we thought that maybe the same people who want to buy the farmhouse would have come. We were both in our room at that time, and hearing the sound of the car, I was worried that this boy's soul probably does not want this farmhouse to be sold. In such a situation, he should not cause any trouble to these people too. Then Meena said, "Come on." Hearing this, we both came out. So the people that Meena was waiting for had not come. My father-in-law was standing there. Now seeing her father, Meena became very surprised and upset and started looking angrily at me because she felt that perhaps I had told the truth to my father. But I didn't tell him anything. Seeing both of us immersed in such thought, Meena's father said, "What happened? Why are you so nervous?" Hearing this, Meena hurriedly said, "Nothing, Papa. I am just thinking that your health doesn't go well like that. Then why have you come here?" So Meena's father said, "Arey, what? That is, Tara was also going to come today, and this is her plan to stay." He looked at me and said, "You were not well too, son, so I was getting tension about you, so I came." Now hearing this, Meena said with false smile, "Yes, that's right, Papa." And then we came in. Then I saw the soul of the boy standing in a corner of the house with tears in his eyes. He was looking at Meena's father again and again. After some time, about half an hour, Tara also came, who had returned from abroad and had come to see this farmhouse instead of going to her house. Her arrival seemed to have brought a glow to her because she was very cheerful. She was not as quarrelsome as Meena. Now Meena was repeatedly calling people who wanted to come to buy this farmhouse, but it was as if there was no call to him, because of which she was very upset. She even called me from my phone, but I couldn't even call from my phone. Then around 7 p.m. a car came to a stop and got a man and woman out. Seeing them, Meena's father, Tara, all looked at us in surprise because they thought that these people might be my relatives. Thinking of this, Meena's father said something. Before that, the man and woman came to Meena and said, "Excuse me, Meena ji, there was a little delay in coming because there was a lot of traffic on the way and you could not talk properly." Hearing this, Meena said something. Before that, Meena's father said, "You guys?" Then the man looked at Meena's father and said, "Oh sir, you are saying this." He shook hands and started talking.
Then, as soon as they told that they wanted to buy this farmhouse, Meena's father's face turned red with anger. When he started looking at Meena angrily, Meena hurriedly said, "Papa, what is this farmhouse of use to us?" Now hearing this, Meena's father shouted angrily and said, "You know, I cannot sell this farmhouse at any price, and you also know this." In such a situation, there was an argument between both his father and Meena. Then suddenly, there was a strong wind. Seeing this, we would have understood something. The sound of him screaming horribly began to echo all around, and at the same time, the light that was burning began to turn on and on. Then a shadow began to appear to everyone. Seeing this, everyone's senses were blown away. I knew it was the soul of that boy. That's when it was Uncle Auntie who came to buy the farmhouse. They panicked and ran away. Now we were looking around. Then the voice of the spirit that was there began to echo all around. "No one will sell it. None." Saying this, the sound of his crying was heard all around. Now hearing this, it was as if Meena's family understood everything. But I was still quite surprised that the light that was suddenly switching off turned on was fine. Then the same spirit appeared to us standing before our eyes. By the way, it was dark all around at that time, and the spirit was visible in the light of the bulb due to standing at a short distance from us. Seeing him, Meena's father cried and said, "Naresh, son, you are the same." Meena, as if she was very nervous, and then holding her father's hand and said, "Come on, you come from here, Papa." Saying this, she started to take them away. As if Meena got a strong electric shock and she jumped down and fell down. Seeing this, I started to handle it. Then Naresh angrily looked at Meena and started shouting and said, "If you want, I would have killed you by now, but I wanted everyone to know your truth." Now hearing this, all the family members started looking at Meena, who was already very nervous. Now Meena's father said, "Naresh, son, but you could have fulfilled your words." Before that, Naresh said, "Yes, Papa, I was dead, but my soul is still wandering. My soul will not find peace until the whole truth comes out in front of you, and Meena will tell you this truth." Hearing this, both Tara and her father started looking at each other. Then Meena's father said, "What is the truth, Meena?" But Meena did not say anything. Now tears started flowing from Naresh's eyes and he said, "Papa, what you saw, what you were told was not true. The truth is something else." Saying this, tears started flowing from his eyes. Even at that time, I didn't understand anything. Then Naresh started screaming at Meena in anger. Then Meena started jumping in the air and falling down. Then it seemed as if someone had caught her throat and she started writhing in pain. She was trying her best to free her throat but could not get rid of her throat. Then Naresh's terrifying voice started echoing all around. "You have to tell the truth, Meena, or I will kill you." At that time, Meena seemed to see her death in front of her eyes. His breath was also beginning to get upset. At that time, I was trying to save Meena, but it felt like my hands and feet were also clenched, because of which I was not able to do anything even if I wanted to. Now when Meena started feeling that she would not be able to survive, she cried and hurriedly said, "Leave me, Naresh. I'll tell you the whole truth. Leave me alone." Saying this, she was too scared. Both Tara and Meena's father were looking at Meena in surprise. They didn't understand anything. They both wanted to save Meena, but just like me, his hands and feet were also caught. In such a situation, they both were panicking and asking Naresh to leave Meena. Then Naresh looked at Meena angrily and then started looking at the rest of the family. Now Meena was lying on the ground suffering from pain, so as soon as Naresh looked at her angrily, she started getting even more scared. In such a situation, Meena now cried and folded her hands and hurriedly said, "Forgive me, Papa. Naresh did not die by falling from the balcony. I myself pushed them off the balcony." I was also very surprised to hear that why Meena had killed this boy. The same Tara and her father had slipped the ground under their feet. Then Meena's father hurriedly said, "What?" So after hearing what Meena told me and knowing the whole truth, the ground slipped under my feet. I could never have imagined that I had been cheated on such a big deal. Such a big lie has been told to me, and I didn't know anything about it. By the way, what happened was that this boy named Naresh was the son of Meena's father's friend, and his parents had died in childhood. In such a situation, Meena's father took care of him. He had completed the rest of his studies in the same hostel, and this farmhouse was his. He was not very handsome and was very naive, but he was a very hard-working man. She liked Meena since childhood, and he told this to Meena's father when he grew up. So Meena's father himself wanted to have this Meena relation with Naresh because Naresh was a very well-known and good boy. But Meena refused to do this relation with her father. But Meena's father's health often went bad, due to which the doctor forbade him to take any tension. In such a situation, even if it is out of compulsion, Meena had to say yes to marry Naresh, because Meena's mother had clearly said that if Meena denied this relation, then they would break all relations with her. And then Meena got married to Naresh. But after marriage, Meena never gave much importance to that boy. By the way, Meena herself was like herself, but she wanted her husband to be very smart, and Naresh was the complete opposite. By the way, after marriage, Naresh started living in this farmhouse with Meena. At the same time, she had to face a lot of jokes about Naresh's appearance among her friends. That's why she wanted to get rid of Naresh. He didn't like Naresh himself, but Meena's father did not want Meena and Naresh to divorce under any circumstances. Because of which, one day he gave Naresh a pill mixed with milk, and then in a state of intoxication took him to the balcony and pushed him from above, because of which he fell down and died in this farmhouse in agony. At that time, Meena was very happy to see Naresh die, that now she got rid of Naresh forever. But it was also important to answer to her family members. In such a situation, she pretended to cry so much in front of her family members by calling that "don't ask." When her family came, she was pretending to cry as if her whole world had come to an end. She said that Naresh had developed a habit of drinking alcohol, and she was downstairs in the kitchen. When she came upstairs to the room, Naresh was standing on the balcony after drinking. Seeing this, she said something. Before that, he jumped down from the balcony and died in this way in this farmhouse. Hearing this, all the family members were deeply shocked. By the way, Meena's father knew that there was no such evil in Naresh. But what do today's kids believe? In such a situation, it may be that someone has become addicted. In such a situation, he believed his daughter's words, and Naresh was recremated again without any investigation, due to which Naresh's death remained just an accident. Naresh did not even have any relatives who would take care of him, and in such a situation, the whole truth was buried in the farmhouse. By the way, Meena was Naresh's wife, due to which she got this farmhouse forever.
By the way, Meena wanted him to sell this farmhouse, but her father refused because Meena's father said that this farmhouse is a symbol of Naresh and his family members, which he can never sell. And then after Naresh's death, Meena started living with her family members. In such a situation, this farmhouse became deserted. By the way, Meena was a very bright girl. He also took over his father's business and then became friends with me. I was good to see, so Meena lured me into a love trap and then married me. But there was no hindrance in our married life. Saying this, Meena also refused to tell the truth about her past to her family members. By the way, they used to live a short distance from that farmhouse. But now they moved to another place, where very few people knew about Meena. And anyway, after marrying Meena, Meena had never left me alone in front of her relatives, due to which I had not even come to know the truth till now. Even in the office, people did not know much about Meena's past. Now the whole truth was out, which was a deep shock for me. The same Meena was crying and apologizing to everyone with folded hands. Knowing this truth, his father stumbled and fell to the ground. So Tara and I took care of him. The same Naresh's soul then looked at everyone and said, "This farmhouse is a sign of my loved ones, and I will never let it be sold. Never. Anyone who tries to sell him will die." Saying this, his voice became quite scary and terrifying. Then the light started turning off, turning on. At the same time, a strong gust of wind started moving around, and Naresh's soul went from there. Now Meena's father was in a lot of trouble after all that truth came out. In such a situation, his chest started hurting. So we immediately admitted him to the hospital. Now Meena was trying to talk to me while apologizing to me, but now I didn't want to talk to him. Because at that time I was so upset to know the truth that I couldn't tell you guys. In such a situation, I was angry at myself that how could I trust a girl who could be someone's killer? How much I loved her, and she came out like this.
Such things were going through my mind. As soon as Meena's father recovered a little in the same hospital, he started crying. He started believing himself guilty that if he had not married Meena to Naresh, then Naresh's life would not have been done. Now he didn't even want to see Meena's face. In such a situation, he immediately called the police and arrested Meena. So Meena kept apologizing, she kept screaming, but no one listened to her. Then Meena's family started apologizing to me, but my world was shattered. I didn't know what to do. I was in a state of madness. Now I wanted to leave everything behind and go back to my village. But Meena's father stopped me by giving his oath and begged me with folded hands in front of me that I should adopt his daughter Kara. Because seeing me, he sees Naresh in me. Because Naresh was also responsible and sensible like me. But I wasn't prepared for all this. But then, seeing the health of Meena's father, I married Tara. By the way, Tara was completely different from Meena. He had a very cheerful nature. She was also very intelligent and a well-rounded girl. By the way, for a few days our life went like this. But because of Tara's good behavior, I adopted her in a very short time. At the same time, Meena's father also clearly told us that if we ever forgot to take care of Meena or tried to meet her, then she has no relation to us. Because of which we didn't even think of meeting Meena anymore. I loved Meena very much. I used to miss him a lot, but remembering his actions also hurt a lot. In such a situation, no one went to meet Meena in jail. And when she came to know that Mary and Tara were married, her condition became like a madman. She often screamed in jail. Due to being rejected by his loved ones, his mental condition gradually deteriorated. She started acting like crazy. He even fatally attacked 2 women in jail, because of which he was sent to the asylum. But even in the asylum, Meena took her own life one day. When we got this news, it was very painful. No matter what it was, Meena was our own. Then we brought his body home and cremated it, performed his last rites with full rituals. But as if Meena's soul had not found peace. Now she often appeared to me in my dreams and sometimes to Tara. At the same time, it was as if she was walking around the house, because we could hear her voice. But when I went and looked, I couldn't see anything. And often Tara would feel as if someone is sitting on her chest. Someone is trying to strangle him. Because of which Tara was very scared. Even now our business was losing a lot. At the same time, strange things started happening in the house every day. Like the faucet turning on its own, the utensils breaking, the cats crying, many such scary things started happening. So seeing all this, I talked to some of my knowledgeable people and called a Pandit from Kashi and got a havan done in the house so that Meena's soul could get peace. It was then that Meena stopped coming to us in our dreams and appearing in the house. By the way, due to what had happened, all the family members had suffered a lot. In such a situation, it took a lot of time for all of us to recover. But slowly we took care of ourselves and our lives started to go on. But that farmhouse is still deserted and deserted. No one even talks about selling it by mistake. And people say that they often see Naresh's spirit there at night. Perhaps he was so attached to that farm that he never wanted to leave it. By the way, so much time has passed since this incident, and due to what happened, Meena's father's health gradually deteriorated and one day he left us. Today my married life is going well, and now a new guest is going to come in our life which we are eagerly waiting for. We are happy in our lives, but the bad memories of the past still do not leave us and make us think that we got freedom but still did not get the freedom of color. People still give importance to a person on the basis of colors. So far, I don't know how many lives have been lost in our country due to discrimination of color. And who knows how many lives will be lost because this society will never be able to improve.
So friends, this was our story today. How did you like the story? Please do tell me by commenting in the comment box. And also, those who haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe to the channel. Take care of yourself and your family. I will meet you soon with a new story. Thank you.